HYBE exposed? Jungkook publicly defends Taehyung amid allegations of truth suppression. The silence has finally been broken, but at what cost? In a move that has sent shockwaves across the global fandom, Jungkook, the youngest member of BTS, has taken a rare and deeply calculated step, publicly standing up for Kim Taehyung. For years, murmurs of internal disputes, hidden tensions, and the mysterious handling of BTS's individual paths have been quietly dismissed as fan speculation. But now, with Jungkook's unexpected and pointed gesture, those whispers have turned into deafening alarms. What truth is HYBE trying to conceal? And why has it taken this long for someone from inside the fortress to speak? The situation unfolded subtly, almost too perfectly timed to be a coincidence. In what appeared to be an unscripted moment during a public interaction, Jungkook's expression changed, not dramatically, but perceptibly, when the subject of Taehyung was raised. Then, with a tone that barely masked years of internal frustration, Jungkook delivered a statement that has since ricocheted through the global media. Sometimes, silence is forced. But silence doesn't mean indifference. That sentence, simple on the surface, has reopened deep wounds in the ARMY community, with fans questioning whether Taehyung's apparent isolation and absence from group dynamics over recent months were the result of deliberate suppression. Jungkook's words, however measured, were far from vague. They struck a nerve, hinting at systemic pressure behind the scenes, pressure that may have specifically targeted Taehyung. And while no explicit accusations were made, the implication was clear. There are truths that haven't been told, decisions that weren't consensual, and narratives that have been carefully sanitized for public consumption. The broader context makes the situation even more disturbing. In the past year, Taehyung's activities have taken a noticeably fragmented trajectory compared to other BTS members. While the others seem to move forward in orchestrated promotional waves, solo albums, fashion campaigns, variety appearances, Taehyung's path has been sporadic, inconsistent, and curiously disconnected from HYBE's main publicity machine. And yet, despite his obvious popularity and global appeal, he remained unusually sidelined. Behind closed doors, fans began compiling timelines, analyzing interviews, dissecting moments of discomfort captured on camera. But speculation remained just that, until Jungkook's intervention. His decision to vocalize concern, no matter how subtle, changes everything. It confirms what many feared, that something has been deeply wrong, and worse, intentionally hidden. Why now? That question looms large. Why would Jungkook risk his own standing to speak now? The answer may lie in a pattern. In recent months, fans have observed a shift in Jungkook's demeanor, more introspective, more restrained, and, according to insiders, increasingly disillusioned with the tightly controlled environment surrounding BTS. His move to defend Taehyung may not be an isolated incident, but the culmination of years of internal resistance. A resistance that, until now, was kept carefully out of the public eye. One cannot overlook the emotional weight this moment carries. Jungkook and Taehyung have always been seen as close, brothers in all but blood. But loyalty in the world of billion-dollar entertainment empires is often crushed under contractual obligations, media manipulation, and invisible boundaries set by those in control. Jungkook's words suggest that even his hands have been tied, until now. This revelation has triggered intense debates among fans and observers alike. Was Taehyung deliberately pushed aside to make room for other agendas? Was there a strategic silencing of his voice, his projects, his presence? And if so, what role did HYBE play in orchestrating this silence? What complicates matters further is HYBE's refusal to address the growing speculation. Their calculated silence only adds fuel to the fire, reinforcing the belief that what Jungkook hinted at wasn't a slip of the tongue, but a carefully chosen moment of rebellion. And it is precisely that silence, from the company that built BTS, that now speaks the loudest. The entertainment industry is no stranger to power dynamics, but few expected such a seismic rift to emerge from within BTS itself. The group, often portrayed as a tightly unified brotherhood, now faces a new narrative, one that questions how deep their autonomy truly runs. Are BTS members truly free in their decisions? Or have their careers been steered by invisible forces since the beginning? Fans are divided. Some express unwavering support, applauding Jungkook for his courage and integrity. Others, still stunned, demand answers, clarity, transparency, and accountability. What's undeniable is that this incident has shattered the illusion of harmony, exposing raw vulnerabilities and raising urgent questions about artist agency within corporate frameworks. The implications extend far beyond fandom discourse. This is no longer just about music or celebrity. It's about ethics, control, and the complex machinery that governs the entertainment world. If even global icons like Jungkook and Taehyung are subject to suppression, what does that mean for countless other artists without such platforms? And perhaps most painfully, it's about friendship, tested under the weight of fame, scrutiny, and institutional politics. Jungkook's defense of Taehyung may have been brief, but its impact is profound. It suggests a brotherhood that refuses to be erased, no matter how aggressively it's managed behind the scenes. In the absence of formal acknowledgement from HYBE, the community is left to navigate a storm of emotions. Trust, once unshakable, now trembles. Devotion is being recalibrated as fans ask themselves, are we supporting the artists or the system that controls them? Is it possible to do both? This situation has ignited a broader conversation across online platforms, sparking hashtags that, while unofficial, capture a deeper truth. Fans are no longer passive consumers. They are investigators, advocates, and at times, the last line of defense for the artists they love. Jungkook's words have empowered them to demand more, not just content, but honesty, freedom, and fairness. And therein lies the most haunting question of all. If this moment was allowed to surface, how many more have been buried? Every silence has a story. Every omission carries intent. And every truth suppressed eventually finds its voice. Jungkook's defense of Taehyung is more than an act of friendship. It's a challenge to the very structures that have kept certain narratives locked away. As this story continues to unfold, the world watches not just for the next headline, but for the deeper reckoning it demands. This is not just a chapter in BTS's history. It could be the beginning of a seismic shift in how we understand transparency, loyalty, and the cost of speaking out in an industry built on silence. So now we ask, how much of what we see is real? And how much has been carefully constructed to keep the truth just out of reach? Jungkook has spoken. The world is listening. Will HYBE finally respond? Or will they let silence speak for them once again? But in a world increasingly driven by viral narratives and algorithm-fueled outrage, one must ask, how much of this storm is grounded in truth, and how much is the product of digital echo chambers feeding on ambiguity? Jungkook's public stance undeniably stirred emotions, yet it is precisely this emotional surge that demands caution. As consumers of information, are we truly distinguishing between what is real and what is merely resonant? Let us pause and reflect. Has the line between truth and dramatization been irrevocably blurred by platforms like TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube? The fragments of video clips, out-of-context quotes, and speculative voiceovers that circulate by the hour are not structured journalism. They are impressions, unverified, highly edited, and often curated to elicit strong reactions. Yet it is these impressions that shape collective belief. Are we witnessing a genuine moment of defiance by Jungkook? Or are we projecting our own suspicions onto a carefully ambiguous statement? This leads us to a deeper, more unsettling question. Have we as audiences become complicit in sensationalism? In our thirst for truth, are we fueling a cycle that prioritizes virality over verification? The emotional resonance of Jungkook's remark is powerful, but should that alone be enough to warrant global conclusions? The nature of this article itself warrants scrutiny. It is built upon publicly available information from social media, unconfirmed observations, and online discourse, not verified documentation. Therefore, while the arguments presented are supported by logical inference and contextual patterns, they are not definitive evidence. This is not an expose. It is a mirror, one that reflects not only the potential cracks within a global empire, but also our own susceptibility to narrative persuasion. Are we so desperate for transparency that we cling to any disruption as evidence of systemic failure? Or is there a darker allure at play? The thrill of witnessing icons fracture under the weight of hidden tensions? And if so, what does that say about us, the viewers, the fans, the critics? It is critical, therefore, to remain alert to the signs of manipulation. The entertainment industry thrives on ambiguity, calculated leaks, and strategic silences. In this context, even a moment of raw emotion can be weaponized to drive speculation, fan engagement, and ultimately, profit. Was Jungkook's statement spontaneous? Or was it allowed, perhaps even orchestrated, to create a ripple of publicity just when interest seemed to plateau? And what of Taehyung? The notion that he has been marginalized by his own agency is emotionally compelling, but do we truly have enough evidence to confirm such a narrative? Or have we been fed a pattern of isolated events and subtle shifts, packaged to appear as conspiracy through the lens of selective interpretation? The responsibility now lies with the audience to approach this narrative not with blind allegiance, but with intellectual integrity. It is essential to ask uncomfortable questions. Could this story be a hoax, constructed not with malice, but with the intent to provoke engagement? Could the very structure of this article, and others like it, be part of a broader ecosystem that thrives on emotional manipulation? We urge our readers and viewers, do not disengage from emotion, but do not surrender to it blindly either. Let emotion be a catalyst for inquiry, not a substitute for analysis. Reflect on the origin of the information you consume. Ask yourself, who benefits from this narrative? What is being implied, and why? Who is speaking and who remains silent? And most importantly, how do you respond? Do you find yourself instantly believing this is the unfiltered truth, that HYBE is suppressing Taehyung's autonomy and Jungkook has finally broken free to expose it? Or do you consider the possibility that both silence and speech can be calculated, each with its own strategic intent? Are you willing to admit that some of your conclusions may stem from emotional bias, shaped by the desire to protect your idols from the invisible machinery of control you fear lurks behind them? These are not questions with easy answers. But in asking them, we grow closer to a form of truth that is not dictated by headlines, but by critical awareness. This article, by its very structure, invites skepticism. It seeks to provoke, not to dictate. It challenges you to inspect every paragraph not just for what it says, but for what it implies. In an era where misinformation often wears the mask of urgency, it is your responsibility as a reader to discern whether the urgency is justified or manufactured. As this story continues to circulate across platforms, morphing with each retelling, we challenge you. What do you really believe happened? Was Jungkook's gesture a crack in the wall of corporate silence, or a well-placed pebble designed to simulate a landslide? Is Taehyung a victim of suppression, or the subject of overinterpretation? And finally, if this article has made you feel something, anything, anger, concern, skepticism, hope, ask yourself, why? Where did that emotion come from? Was it drawn from facts or from narrative? Let that be your compass moving forward. The truth is not in this article, nor is it fully in the videos, the tweets, or even the statements themselves. The truth, if it exists at all in this narrative, lies in the critical dialogue we are willing to have. And that dialogue begins not with certainty, but with doubt.